Chisom and Haeyeon sat together on the bed in silence, still processing everything that had happened at the wrap-up party. Haeyeon suddenly huffed and sat up. I still can't believe Min-seo. Who does she think she is? Just because she's been in the industry longer doesn't mean she owns every role. Chisom sighed. I get why she's upset, but she made it clear that she sees me as a threat. Haeyeon folded her arms. So what? That's her problem, not yours. You got the role because you deserved it. She have to deal with it. Before Chisom could respond, a soft knock sounded at the door. It creaked open, and Mrs. Kim stepped inside, her gentle eyes studying them both. It's almost midnight. Why are you two still awake? Chisom quickly sat up straighter. We were just talking. Mrs. Kim gave them a knowing look. About something serious, I assume. Haeyeon forced a smile. Nothing, Mom. Just school stuff. Mrs. Kim sighed. Whatever it is, it can wait. You both have school tomorrow, and you need rest. She glanced at Chisom. You look tired, sweetheart. Get some sleep. Chisom nodded. I will. Mrs. Kim rested her hand on the doorknob. Good night, girls. Good night, they echoed. Haeyeon stretched and stood up. I should head to my room. Try not to overthink what Min-seo said, okay? Chisom nodded, though deep down, she knew sleep wouldn't come easily. The next morning, as Chisom and Haeyeon walked into the school compound, students paused mid-conversation, some glancing at Chisom, others staring opally. Haeyeon frowned. Why is everyone looking at you like that? I don't know, Chisom said, keeping her eyes forward. They continued walking, and the students' hushed voices reached them. I heard Min-seo posted something last night. Yeah, she basically called out a rookie for stealing her role. She didn't mention names, but we all know who she meant. Haeyeon pulled out her phone and checked social media. Her notifications were flooded. She opened Min-seo's latest post. Some people think success is handed to them, but in this industry, talent always wins in the end. Let's see how long the hype lasts. The comment section was buzzing. She's totally talking about that Nigerian girl, right? Min-seo should have had that role. She deserved it more. Wow, why is she being so bitter? It's not like the agency forced her out. Haeyeon clenched her fists. That's it, I'm saying something. Chisom grabbed her arm. No, that's exactly what she wants. If we react, it'll just make things worse. Haeyeon exhaled. But this isn't fair. Nothing in this industry is, Chisom said. Let's just get to class. The morning bell rang, signaling the start of the school day. The usual buzz of chatter filled the hallways as students talked with their friends. Suddenly, the loudspeaker crackled to life, and Mr. Jang, the school's sports coordinator, spoke over the intercom. Attention, students, we have some exciting news for all of you. The school is forming a new female basketball team, and we're looking for players. There will be a friendly match this Friday to help everyone get familiar with the game. Interested students should come to the gymnasium after school today for the team selection. Hope to see you there. Haeyeon turned to Chisom, her eyes wide with excitement. A match this Friday, we have to join, Chisom. This is our chance, Chisom grinned, feeling a surge of energy. Alright, let's do it. A match sounds like the perfect way to get started. The gymnasium was buzzing with energy as students filled the space, eager to try out for the new team. Dressed in their team uniforms, they stretched and chatted excitedly. Chisom and Haeyeon entered, both a little nervous but excited. Coach Lee stepped forward with a smile. Welcome, everyone. Coach Lee greeted the group. Glad to see so many interested in joining the team. Today, we'll start with some basic drills to see how everyone is doing. Haeyeon nudged Chisom. This is going to be fun, Chisom. Let's show them what we can do. Chisom, still a little nervous, nodded. I've never played before, but I'm ready to try. As Coach Lee demonstrated the drills, the students followed along, each trying their best. Among them, Jia stood out, executing every move with precision and confidence. Her skills didn't go unnoticed, and by the time the drills were over, Coach Lee clapped her hands together. Great effort, everyone. I'm impressed with your enthusiasm. And after watching closely, I've decided that Jia will be your team captain. A round of applause filled the gym as Jia smiled proudly. Haeyeon turned to Chisom with a determined look. Looks like we have a strong leader. We'll have to give it our all. Chisom grinned, her excitement growing. Let's do it. Coach Lee then stepped forward again. "Alright, listen up," she said. "The match this Friday will be a friendly game against the boys to help you get more comfortable with playing. It's not about winning, it's about getting experience and seeing how much you can improve. So, let's focus on learning and having fun." She reached for a stack of papers and began passing them around. "This is a participation form. Fill it out and submit it on the day of the match. It's just a formality, but I need it to complete the team registration." The school compound was quieting down as students finished their activities for the day. Chisom and Hyun walked toward the school gate after the basketball practice, unaware of the three pairs of eyes following them. Yumi, Minji and Soo-young were heading back from their cheerleading practice, their expressions unreadable, until Yumi let out a scoff. "Unbelievable," she muttered. Soo-young rolled her eyes. "I can ignore Hyun, but Chisom? She's getting way too comfortable. First, the commercial, and now basketball. What's next?" Minji chuckled. "She probably thinks she's unstoppable. We need to change that." Yumi smirked, flicking her hair over her shoulder. "Don't worry, I'll handle it." Soo-young raised an eyebrow. "And how exactly do you plan to do that?" Yumi's smirk deepened. "You know me, Soo-young. I always have my way." She didn't need to say anything more. Soo-young and Minji exchanged knowing glances before nodding. Whatever Yumi had in mind, they knew she wouldn't sit back and do nothing. The day of the anticipated match had finally arrived. Students sat in their seats, focused on their lessons as the teacher's voice filled the room. Chisom took down notes, her mind briefly drifting to the game ahead. She had checked everything, her uniform, her shoes, and most importantly, the required form, safely placed in her locker. Yumi and her friends were seated, pretending to pay attention. Then, with a subtle glance, she gave the signal. One by one, they slipped out of the classroom unnoticed, their movements smooth and deliberate as they navigated the empty hallways. Yumi pushed open the locker room door and peeked inside before stepping in. The scent of gym clothes and sneakers lingered in the air. "Find her locker," Soo-young whispered. Minji scanned the row, stopping in front of one. "Here." Yumi pulled a hairpin from her pocket and expertly picked the lock. The door creaked open, revealing the neatly folded form sitting inside. "There it is," she murmured, plucking it from the shelf. She held it up, then glanced at her friends. "Shall we?" Without hesitation, she tore a piece from the top. Soo-young grabbed a section and did the same. Minji followed, shredding it into tiny fragments until all that remained were scattered bits on the floor. Soo-young let out a quiet laugh. She won't even know what hit her. Minji smirked. By the time she realizes, it'll be too late. Yumi dusted off her hands, satisfied. That should take care of her. Carefully shutting the locker to leave no trace, they slipped back into the hallway, vanishing before anyone could spot them. The gym was alive with energy as students filled the stands for the big game. Chisom and Hyun, dressed in their team uniforms, headed straight to the locker room, ready to prepare. Until Chisom opened her locker and froze. Her hand faltered when she saw that something was off. The form, it wasn't there. Her breath caught in her throat as she riffled through the contents of her locker. There was no mistaking it, the form she had so carefully prepared was gone. "Hyun," Chisom called, her voice strained. "I don't have the form." Hyun quickly turned, scanning the locker. She could see the panic in Chisom's eyes. "What do you mean you don't have it? It's supposed to be here, right?" Chisom nodded, still frantic, searching the locker over and over. "I don't get it. I checked it before. It was here." Hyun frowned, her mind racing. Could someone have taken it? Chisom froze. The realization hit her like a ton of bricks. She knew who could be behind this. "Yumi?" Chisom muttered under her breath. Hyun looked at her, surprised. "You think she?" Chisom clenched her fists. "I don't know, but I have a bad feeling about this." They stood in silence for a moment, the weight of the situation sinking in. Without the form, Chisom wouldn't be allowed to play. "Stay calm," Hyun said, placing a hand on Chisom's shoulder. "We'll figure this out." Chisom nodded, though her confidence wavered. She knew that the sabotage was just the beginning of whatever Yumi had planned. And now, it was up to her to make sure this didn't end with her on the sidelines. As the players warmed up, Hyun and Chisom confronted Yumi and her friends near the cheerleading section. Yumi spotted them approaching and smirked. "Well, Well, look who we have here, the basketball players, she said with mock sweetness. Chisom didn't waste time. Where's my form? Yumi tilted her head. Your form? What are you talking about? Don't act clueless, Chisom shot back. I know you took it. Minji and Sooyoung exchanged a look, but Yumi only scoffed. Why would I bother with your silly form? Maybe you lost it. Chisom stood her ground. You had no right to take it. Yumi let out a short laugh. Take it, please. If you're too careless to keep track of your things, that's not my problem. Haeyeon stepped forward. You won't get away with this. Yumi shrugged. Good luck proving anything. With a smirk, she turned away, her friends following. Haeyeon gripped Chisom's arm. We'll find a way. Tae-oh noticed Chisom standing apart from the rest and immediately sensed something was wrong. He stepped closer. Are you okay? Chisom exhaled sharply. My form is missing. I left it in my locker, but when I checked this afternoon, it was gone. Without it, I can't play. Tae-oh asked, What? Are you sure you left it there? She said, I was sure when I placed it there. Someone must have taken it. Who would even do that? But even as he asked, his gaze drifted across the gym, landing on a group of cheerleaders Yumi, Sooyoung, and Minji. They were laughing, tossing their hair, and chatting excitedly, but Yumi's glance in Chisom's direction sent a chill down his spine. He turned back to Chisom. I'll handle it, just focus on the game. Without waiting for her reply, he strode over to the coach, who was busy organizing the team lineup. Coach, Tae-oh said, catching her attention. Chisom's form is missing. She left it in her locker, and now it's gone. She's supposed to play. Can't you make an exception? The coach released a slow breath. Tae-oh, I understand, but you know the rules. No form, no play. School policy. But this wasn't her fault. She had it. And now it's just disappeared. That's not fair. The coach's expression softened slightly, but her tone remained firm. I'm sorry, Tae-oh, but my hands are tied. Tae-oh turned back to Chisom, who was watching from across the gym, anxiety written all over her face. Just then, the sharp sound of the referee's whistle cut through the gym, announcing the start of the match. The players rushed onto the court, the crowd erupting into cheers as the game began. Chisom remained on the sidelines, watching as her teammates took their positions. Chisom couldn't shake the feeling of uncertainty after her form went missing. But her thoughts were interrupted when she noticed Haeyeon approaching. Haeyeon, Chisom asked, why aren't you playing? Haeyeon hesitated before replying. I'm not playing because you're not playing, she said, her eyes full of understanding. Chisom blinked in surprise. What do you mean? You're my friend, Chisom. If you're not on the team, I don't feel right being on the court either. So I decided not to play. Chisom shook her head. I never wanted you to do that, Haeyeon nodded gently. I know, but that's what friends do, right? We have each other's backs. Plus, I couldn't just leave you hanging. Chisom looked at Haeyeon, feeling a wave of gratitude wash over her. Thank you, she said quietly. I really appreciate it. Haeyeon smiled back. I went back to the locker room earlier with Yuna to look for your form. We searched everywhere, but we couldn't find it. It's like it vanished. Chisom's heart sank, but her friend's efforts made her feel less alone in the situation. I don't know what I would do without you guys, she murmured, her voice tinged with appreciation. The match was in full action, and Jia immediately proved why she was the girls' team captain. She was on Tae-oh's tail the entire match, blocking his plays, stealing the ball, and making every move difficult. Chisom and Haeyeon cheered as the girls fought hard, but Tae-oh adapted, using quick passes to break free. Jia pushed back with strong defense and sharp shots. In the final moments, the boys pulled ahead. Tae-oh landed the winning shot, sealing their victory. Though disappointed, Chisom and Haeyeon applauded, proud of their team's effort. After the match, the dressing room buzzed with excitement. Laughter filled the air as Yumi and her friends entered, chatting about the game. Their voices echoed against the walls, carefree and full of amusement. The door suddenly swung open. Yuna stepped inside, gripping pieces of torn paper in her hand. The room fell silent. I found this in the bin, Yuna said, holding up the scraps. Chisom's form. Meanwhile, in the gym, Chisom sat on a bench when Tae-oh approached her. We'll find out who did this, Chisom let out a slow breath. It's not like I don't already have enough to deal with. You shouldn't have to deal with this at all, Teo said. Chisom glanced at him. I knew some people wouldn't want me on the team, but doing something this low. That's just pathetic, Teo finished for her. Chisom nodded. Yeah, we will find out who did this. Back in the dressing room, Yuna looked at Yumi. You did this? Yumi lifted her chin. Of course I did. You're not even ashamed, Yuna asked. Yumi let out a soft laugh. Ashamed? No. In fact, I should have done more. Without warning, Yuna shoved her onto the bench.